to Entrepreneurs and Fuego, where we're documenting your journey, one digital footprint at a time. Wow, I'm a fast learner.
You like that, huh?
Well, you know what? We came up with this slogan a couple of days ago or so. And we were thinking, this is about documenting journeys. And you are a man that has had a phenomenal journey with us today. It is my privilege. Visionaries thrive. Mr. Jim Hamilton is in the house. Man, when you and I have conversations, it's like, I'm transported into this into this world that is metaphysical. I don't want to say fictional, but it's at an entirely different level.
Beyond the regular mind, yeah.
Beyond the regular mind.
Yeah.
Explain to us what is that you do and what is that you advocate, other than this, of course, Visionaries Thrive. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, where it'd be fun to start is there was a study done in 1920 by Columbia University. A couple of professors got together and wrote a book. I can't tell you what it's called offhand, even though it's on my website. And the idea was that most of the inventions of the past were discovered simultaneously by multiple people, unbeknownst to each other. For example, everybody's heard of Langley Air Force Base, but nobody knows who Langley is. Langley invented the airplane same time the Wright brothers did.
The Wright brothers, yeah.
Unbeknownst to each other.
Right.
4 people invented or discovered sunspots simultaneously, different parts of the planet.
Is that a coincidence, or is that something that the world, the space, the cosmos dictated?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So there's lots and lots and lots of that. Fractions were discovered by multiple parties. Decimal points were in multiple parties. The steamboat, of course, in 1920, they're looking at inventions in the past, and that's what they had for reference. In 2012, and I could be wrong, a Stanford University attorney, a law attorney, stated that between 90 and 98% of all patent right infringement lawsuits are by other originators. We are receivers. That is our basic nature. Let's last our...
Explain to me. What does that mean, we are receivers?
Okay, so intuition, some of us are more aware of intuition than others, but we all use it. And in fact, if it wasn't our mind second guessing what we intuit, we would use it even more.
So pragmatically then, how do we become more aware? How do we become better people, both professionally and both in a personal aspect? Is there a secret? What do you do?
All right. So there's that ultimate journey within that we all have to take at some point. Some people don't do it till they're on their deathbed, right? So I've been meditating most of my life. I've been meditating 40 some odd years. Actually, it's only like 41, so 40 some odd is just 41. But that's an introspective journey, and as you do this introspective journey, you move out of the only idea that there's an outside world.
So you meditate every day?
Actually, not anymore, because I've been meditating so long that I can go, let's say, even as much as a couple of weeks, and when I sit down to meditate, and if that quiet is right there, then I'm fine. If it takes me 15 minutes to quiet down, which would be a really long time, I'm not meditating enough. But meditation is, it's not work, it's a pleasure, and I do it when I have time, and I like to. I'm down here from Sedona down 9 months. I'm actually scrambling because I'm getting used to the schedule, being out and about all the time.
Right.
And meeting things, but meditation's important.
Right. So going back to, how do we become better individuals? Is there a secret? And I know meditation is a big part of it, and that's why we're bringing it up. But is there a secret to it? Is there something that we have to do that we're not doing as an individual, or as an entrepreneur,
as a species? And that's probably a little bit broad, but that introspective component of our nature, many of us are not in touch with it. Okay, there's lots of different ways to be in touch with it, and meditation is one. Walking the golf course early in the morning might be another. Appreciating nature or beauty might be another. But we have to learn how to pause, and I'll give you an analogy. A lot of people bounce off their world and that's how they take their hints. In other words, reactionary posturing, resistance-based thought processes. Most of us simply bounce off what's going on in our lives instead of coming from our center. And there's a huge difference. And I think you'll find the entrepreneur has touched on that, and there's actually many levels of depth that any of us can go to if we really want to become clear in our capacity to, if you will, project out and be influential or just do what it is we want to do.
You mentioned that we are receivers,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about what a receiver is. And if you can summarize it very quickly, what is a receiver? And what is the components of being a receiver?
So my analogy that I like to use, and it's actually pretty good, is that think of our nervous system as a living antenna system.
Okay.
So, in kinesiology, muscle testing, radionics, whatever, they will tell you that everything that's known or ever will be known is out there. And learning how to be receptive, so that's how inventions come in. We ground them, we receive them. So there's a subtle nature of learning how to listen to yourself. As a meditator for many years, I decided or noticed that learning how to meditate, moving out of my mind, was actually like learning how to listen with my nervous system. It's a funny thing because you're not listening with your ears, you're not listening with your mind, you're not translating with your mind, you're listening at a gut level, as strange as it sounds. But only once you learn how to become quiet or still within do these things become available, and then that becomes the depth of our capacity to grow.
We're here with Jim Hamilton. This shit just flies in my head, like right over here and everything else. But it's really interesting stuff because I know, and I've known for a long time, that meditation is important and you should incorporate it as part of your life. Now, let's talk about entrepreneurs. So, what is the best advice that you could give somebody that is just starting out or that is already an entrepreneur, a businessman, to kind of get himself or herself into that, to break off that resistance that you're discussing and to be more attuned with their environment, to be more aware of their awareness, if you will? What kind of message, are there any how-to things? Is there a 1, 2, 3 manual that we should follow? What should we do?
Yeah, coloring books. Just kidding. Use the blue first for a while.
It's probably the best
stay
advice,
inside
right?
the lines. Now, actually, I think to discover that we have a spiritual component to our life is huge. It's a whole other dimension, and it's hard to understand creativity if you don't understand that there's a bigger scale of order that we have to learn how to plug into. And I think in a way an entrepreneur is somebody that's not satisfied with the status quo. In other words, they're not happy just putting hubcaps on cars every day, 40 hours a day. They want something more. So there's that inner drive already that causes them to break away from the herd, if you will.
It's a disruptor.
And go out on their own.
Okay.
And the way you go out on your own is to discover your own inner depth. Now, meditation is a great way to do it. It's been very successful for me. The problem is it kind of takes a lifetime. Now, it's also true that meditating 2 weeks or a month or a couple of months will certainly make a difference from before you started meditating, because it's almost like a world of difference. As I learned how to meditate, I discovered that it glued my day together differently, which is to say, as you learn to listen to this inner component of your nature, your reality creating starts to show up differently. So this book right here, Visionaries Thrive in All Times, is about how we create our realities. And actually a discovery, the part that resistance plays in our reality creating. Because when you create realities with resistance, like one particular chunk of resistance could take 2 years to overcome. Sometimes a single dose of resistance could put you in jail. And it could take a whole lifetime to overcome. So we need to learn more about allowing. We need to learn more about that there's a scale of order that's bigger than what seems to be. And we get to that by allowing, we get to that by learning how to listen to our internal components.
How do you come up with all this thing?
I call it making shit up. You see, what the idea is, see, we're really limited in our mind version of what's so.
Right.
And so we have to learn how to go outside that. So that's why I call it making shit up. And of course, it's my own version, but
But at some point, you've been meditating 41 years. So was there a point where you're like, okay, I have so much in my head. I've written 5 books.
But those didn't come out. They didn't come out of my head though.
Where does this all come out?
So making shit up.
Making shit up.
So when I sit down to write, I can write an article. First off, like I'm thinking about my next article is going to be called Momentum. It's going to be about momentum because momentum is the accumulation not only of your patterns and habits but your thoughts. So I'm thinking about my next article, which I'll start Tuesday to go out next Friday. And as I think about it, like ideas kind of come together. And when I go sit down to write the article, very likely the article will come out in one dose. And by the way, when you're writing, don't edit while you're writing. Write what you're writing. If you get stalled, go back and go down through it, and you can punch through where you got stalled. But I often will put an article out or write it in a single dose. Then I go back and edit and tweak it. You never, of course, ever put anything out the same day you write it, ever.
I got to tell this story about you because at 28 years old, you figured, fuck it, I'm out there, I'm going to do my thing. You bought a sailboat.
Well, see,
it went around the world.
Yeah, well, so that's a good example for entrepreneurs.
Right.
Goal setting, harnessing the subconscious mind, and meditation. And by the time I was 26, I had a 40-foot sailboat. Had nothing to do with family money because there wasn't any. My English teacher let me out of high school. I got busted with a half a pound of pot in my first quarter at junior college, which kept me out of the draft. I started meditating a couple of years later, and here I am, sitting here with you.
With no pot. Or I feel like we just got high or something like that because, this thing is really,
So let me throw out an idea.
Yeah, go.
There's a rigidity that we all have that we're unaware of.
Right.
And as you learn this introspective component of our nature, we learn how to let go, and the world will open up. It opens up in a lot of different kinds of manners.
It's a matter of, so what I'm gathering of all this thing is, we have these resistances within us, right?
They're protections and they're blocks from new things coming in because we all run on overload.
So what we should do is get rid of those resistances.
We need to learn how to let go.
Learn how to let go.
Yeah.
And meditation is a good way to start. But there are some other techniques that you do have and you do teach.
So you're a mind reader because I wanted to touch on what I do now. Exactly. So core resonance.
See, I know this shit.
By the way, core, the word core
Yes.
CO stands for coherence,
Yes.
RE stands for resonance. So when you're incoherent within, you're resonant without. So when you have a coherent nervous system, you have resonance with the cosmos. And there's an interface that becomes available. So what's happened to me is when I finished this book, I met my first physicist. We worked together 6 or 7 months, a quantum physicist by the name of Vern Wolf. We went our separate ways. I met another gentleman. He introduced me to neurofeedback. And based on the ideas in my book, I sold $1 million worth of neurofeedback in 14 months at $40,000 a pop, I might add. I didn't come up through the world of neurofeedback. I intersected it at the last second, took off with my own ideas, sold $1 million worth of offices, got to see what that was out of that. And then I left those guys. They were a little dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Because I was operating at a different octave, you might say. And so out of this has come an understanding of our nervous system being our center, and the brain is part of the nervous system. And I don't want to get too carried away, but everything is a mechanism by which innate intelligence expresses through.
Gotcha. You've talked about everything except the heart. So it's not about the heart, it is about the nervous system, right?
Oh, you're going to get me in trouble now.
Hey, look at...
Let's go for it.
Dude,
okay.
I read your book, so, well...
Okay.
I'm on page 1. But it is about the nervous system, and I know that a lot of people say, no, it's about the heart and everything else, but you said it's about the nervous system.
All right, so since you did it, so let's do it. Now let's do it. What it is, what is perceived as a heartfelt experience is actually the nervous system resonating with what it's paying attention to, what its object of its attention. Right. So when you are a match for something, you resonate. It's felt as a heartfelt, it's believed to be a heartfelt experience. It's actually the nervous system resonating.
All right.
That's what it is.
It's not the heart.
The heart, I like all the different kinds of things out there.
That was a weak throw, man. See, we've got... And this is from my heart. How about that?
That's good.
There you go. And
so we resonate. I get a T-shirt because we're resonating.
I got to ask you one last question, man.
All right.
Is there life on other planets?
Oh, absolutely.
Canadian.
Absolutely.
I
There's,
think the
there's
same thing.
life everywhere.
Damn straight.
There's
man.
life is so, thank you for the shirt.
This is
Life is so prolific. The idea, that's how short-sighted we are to think we're the only stuff here.
You know what we got to do is we have to have this like every 2 or 3 months and just make shit up. And we should have like a workshop go like, we're making shit up.
And you have to get out of the mind to do it. I sat in on a meeting a couple of days ago, and I sat there for a couple of hours, and it was horrible because everybody, they wanted to create a consensus, and they couldn't. Everybody's mind's running with this different ideas, and they get at odds with each other a little bit.
Jim Hamilton, go get this book, man. Visionaries thrive at all times.
Order it off my website. I'll sign a copy.
You signed me a copy.
Yes, I did.
I ain't giving it up.
Yeah.
We're out.